One of the great features within DecoNetwork software is the ability to launch a network of websites that you can supply to your clients to be used for a number of reasons. Now, the first thing you want to do is build a website template. I don't care if you're trying to supply, a for-profit site or a pop-up store or just an ordering portal. You want to work from a template that you first built. So, first thing you need to do is actually launch a new website. So we're going to just create a template. So we'll just call this DNTemp1. And we're going to launch this new site. Now, building a website template is only going to take you 20 minutes at most. And then it's going to save you 20 minutes every time you need to launch a site. So don't start launching sites until you have created your template, and make sure that template is standalone. Don't use the template to build a website and then, for a client, and then keep cloning that. You may keep products or do something that you forget to delete. So that's why your template should be a standalone site. And remember that it will not retroactively update sites that have already been launched. The template is for all sites moving forward that you launch from it. Changes to the template do not update sites that are already live. So, when it comes to the template, just know that when we clone a site, it'll clone the look of the pages along with the decorated products, up to 50 pre-decorated products. So the big thing we first need to do is come into Edit Website Pages. And know that there's just a lot here that's totally unnecessary, at least for the majority of your clients who need a website. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just delete almost everything currently on the site. So we're going to delete everything from the home page, and then we're going to come back to it. I'm also not going to show the home page in the navigation menu. Know that 90% of affiliate sites do not need to be more than one page. The simpler, the better. So that typically means one page and you're good. So when it comes to these pages, I can choose to hide them from the menu, don't show in menu, and I have the ability to turn off a page. So if I come to this products page, most websites are only going to be offering pre-decorated products, not blank products to be customized. If that is the case, I highly suggest turning off the blank products page completely. It's kind of complicated why you should do this. Just know that you kind of should. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Okay, we don't typically need an about page on here. Contact, if you want this extra information, you can put it on the home page. We're going to have primarily one page. Or you could put it in the footer to be linked. Just because it's not in the menu doesn't mean that page doesn't exist. It's just not easy to be found. Easy to find. Sorry. Okay, so as you can see, we quickly have just simplified the site. We turned off or are hiding almost every page that was in the navigation, or essentially we are doing every page that was in the navigation. And then the home page itself we have simplified. I like to use this theme. The reason I like this theme is because the logo's in the top, the navigation is directly underneath. Most affiliate sites only need to be one page. The logo typically looks better just in the middle in this case. These other versions are not wrong. You can use any of the themes. Just think about that simple one. Okay, let's come into the design. Page options. And then I can hide this. I personally don't like to show a bunch of breadcrumbs. I'm going to hide the currency selector. I'm going to hide the search box. What I've done is I've simplified this top portion. I just want them to log in and be able to go to the cart. That's all we really need them to be able to do. Down here in the footer, create your own campaign, create your own site. Most of the time we don't need this. It'll become more confusing than anything else. So let's delete those. What I do want are the terms and conditions, return policy, shipping information, but I don't need this word navigation. We can simplify this. And these are our payment methods. Because we don't see them here yet, it's because I have yet to hook up DecoPay. And I don't need this newsletter sign up. I could, but I don't need it. And we'll go ahead and give this just a shadow to let somebody know that, yes, you are in the footer. All right. So we have drastically simplified the look of the site within, 5 or so minutes. Now, before we go any further, let's go back to the back end of this site and create some decorated products. I should say pre-decorated products. So let's create a decorated product. We need some placeholders so we can visualize everything. So let's take this fan favorite tee and we will just add a design. We'll choose DTG and we'll choose a stock design that we have here, this hoops. That'll work. And we'll hit save and continue. We'll give it a name. Now, what I always like to do is give it a name. So in this case, we'll just call it hoops and then append the blank product name. I want to know what shirt I'm looking at. So appending the blank product name will make it hoops dash the name of this shirt. We can give it a description. The important thing is we have to put it in a category and we want to choose, do we want the customer to be able to further customize this design using the design tool? Most of the time you don't want to. Save and continue. Now, maybe you don't want to offer this shirt in every color. You don't have to. You can just select the colors you want to offer it on and which one is the default color. Now, this is a really great feature. I can come over to select products and I'm going to find the fan favorite shirts. I want to offer a toddler, a long sleeve, a V-neck. A little bit of everything. We'll also come into sweatshirts and we'll choose this. So what I've done is I've selected all these other items that I want that same artwork to go onto. So you could take one piece of artwork, you put on 50 products all at once. It's really not anything like having to go into 50 items and do the same task. One design, 50 products, pretty quick. 50 products, 50 different designs, 50 times more work. This last step, I can control the pricing. So if I want to override the final retail price that we're selling it for, I easily can. And I can even override the commission. So we could say, okay, we're going to sell this shirt for $20 to the end consumer, and $5 or 25% of it is going to be kicked back to the affiliate as their commission. Once I make my products, I can create some categories. So let's just do t-shirts, sweatshirts. We'll do ladies and youth. So we'll come over here to sort categorize, and Deco makes it very easy to just drag and drop. You can also have the products in multiple categories at once. So they could be in t-shirts and in ladies at the exact same time. I'm not going to worry about getting these actually correct. I just want to be able to visualize it real quick. So it's very easy to drag and drop the products into the correct categories. And then we are now ready to come back to the front end of the site so we can list these items and visualize what it'll look like when our customers are on here. So let's add a row. Let's come to widgets. Let's do a decorated product listing. With this decorated product listing, I'm going to make it so that we show up to 60 products. I really want everything to be shown on this one page. I don't want the customer having to go to different pages. The category display. I want to display categories as tabs. And what this allows us to do is to show our different categories on this page as a tab instead of as a link. So by default, we're going to show all products. Then I'm going to choose the category t-shirts. Then we'll add the category sweatshirts, ladies, and youth. Essentially everything I just created. Within the design, let's not crop the thumbnail. Let's make the thumbnail size 300. When I am seeing these products, I like to know, what is the product name? What exactly am I looking at? And I would make this 12 by 1.5 line height, spaces it a little bit more. And you can see this is one line, this is 2 lines. So what I would do is I would make the minimum line height 2 lines, which means I need to take this number times this number times 2. 12 times 1.5 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. It's hard to visualize this, but it'll keep everything in line. The other thing I want to show, in addition to the name, I want to show the price, and I want to show available colors. I also like to round my colors, so we'll just do that. The price, let's just go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. Maybe we change the color to a nice blue. That'll work for now. I like to space out the products a little bit more, so I'll come into layout, spacing, I'll make it extra large. And then within the design, we have the category panel. So there's a line that goes around everything. We're going to make that line be essentially invisible. And then we have our category tabs. What I like to do is I'm going to center them, and you're going to see they're going to come in here to the middle. And I like to change the active and hover to just this light gray. That way we know when we're on that category or if we're hovering over it. Oh, let's also add a hover effect to the actual item. So we'll come in hover effect, transform, scale, and I'm going to make it 90. It's a little drastic. Voila. Now, before we go further into testing the products, let's add a banner to the top of this. So it's very common, you're going to have a logo or just the name of the site up top. Then we want some type of call to action banner. In this case, we're doing this hoops basketball. So let's come to background image, and we can just search for basketball and see what comes up. We're just looking for something very generic that's going to work. Let's try this. And we'll make it the background a full page bleed. So within our layout, stretch, background full page bleed, it's going to go across. Whenever you upload a background image, you'll see that it defaults here to this large size. You want this image to be 2,000 to 3,000 pixels wide optimally. If you see here, watch the detail increase because I'm going to double the amount of pixels. It's going to be a sharper image. There we go. Looks sharper. The other thing we're going to do within the background, I guess I lied, didn't get sharper. There we go. That looks sharper. The other thing I'm going to do is within the image effects of this background, I'm going to come into filter effects and turn the brightness down. Remember, we're building an affiliate site template. What we want to be able to do is clone this site. Everything you've seen me do so far in this video, you will not do again when you launch a new site. You want to be able to clone this template, and for the next client, let's say it's a soccer team. I've already applied, the brightness setting to this image. If I have a soccer team, I'll come here, I'll put in soccer, and I'll choose a generic image like this, and you can see the brightness is already applied. So the template will make your life easy. You just got to swap the variables, such as an image here, text there. So within widgets, we're going to come to heading. Let's make sure we're using H1. I'm going to change this to Oswald. It's some nice bold text. Let's make it, we'll try 60 for now. Line height 1.5. And how about white? Layout, let's center it. So instead of your heading here, how about get your hoops basketball gear? That's all you need. You just need something simple to let the customer know, yep, you're on the correct website. And when we launch this, all you will have to do is change hoops to the new site name. Again, this is a very simplistic way, but most of the time the websites don't need to be more complicated than this. Don't overthink it. Now, if you offer batch production, there's many different ways we can do production. We can print on demand, which means we're getting an order and we're getting it out as quickly as possible. Or we're gathering orders over a period of time, and then we're going to fulfill everything at once. In that case, we really need a countdown clock on the site to let the customer know, you better place your order before this site actually closes. So what we're going to do is come back to here, and without getting too detailed, know that I can come into administration, production options, and I can enable batch production, which will allow us to gather orders over a period of time. Come back to production options. I can enable batch production, and I can gather orders and have them essentially in a holding pattern after a couple of weeks, and then process them all at once as efficiently as possible. The big thing is, come to store configuration, close store options. You have to let the client know when this website is closing. So I need to set a close store date. So let's just say, you know what, we're going to close it. September 2nd is my birthday. So we're going to close it on my birthday. Click save. Let's come back to the website. Widgets, one column. Let's come over to heading. We'll drop a header. Okay, we're on header 2. Let's just go ahead and make it 30. 1.5. We'll center this text, and in this case, we're going to make the text place your order before the store closes. We want the customer to know that they have to place their order before the store is off. So how do we let them know this? Well, down here we have our countdown clock widget. What I can do is I can use the close store date. And I like to use this flip version. So now we're letting the customer know, hey, you better place this order by Zach's birthday, or otherwise you're going to miss out. I also like to let the customer know, hey, all orders ship 2 weeks after the store closes. You have to set some expectations that, hey, you're not getting your stuff until 2 weeks after this countdown clock ends, because we're not doing any production until we close the store. All right, I like to give this a shadow. I like to stretch the background, and I like to decrease the margin to just custom 0. So now, logo at the top, call to action banner, let the customer know they have to place their order before the store closes, show the products. You really don't need anything else on this page. If you would like, it's very easy. You could come over to widgets. I could drop a contact form on here. Send us a message. If I really want to get some of this extra information on here, I easily can. Okay, so let's now save and know that the other pages your customers are going to use. They're going to select a product, and then they're going to go to what's called the product view pre-decorated product page. So this is where every shirt will really go to before it gets to the checkout phase. A couple things I like to do here. One, I like to change the position of this text. I'm going to make it at the very top of the page. So now it's there. This image, it's okay, but it's a little large. I'm going to make it medium. And then down here is considered our extra details. I personally like to make the extra details tabs. And I also like to take the product description and put it in the extra details. So there we go. And we'll click save. All right, let's go preview the site. The category tabs work awesome. The reason they work awesome is for many reasons. One, they are very friendly on tablets and phones, which is what a lot of your customers are going to be using. But watch how fast these pages load. Look how quickly I can move between categories. So your customer first sees all products, but then they're like, well, I want to see the ladies' shirts. They go to ladies, they quickly select that item, they're taken to the product details page where they can choose their size, their color, and add to cart. That's how simple it should be. Your affiliate is going to share a link to their customers. The customer comes here, they select a category or an item, they're then taken to the product page, size, color, add to cart, they're checking out. That's it. It does not need to be much more than that. Remember that most customers on these affiliate sites are going to be using a phone to place orders. So let me get out of this. Back to here. And what we need to do now is to actually make this website a template. So realize that when we clone a site, it's going to clone the most previously published version. So I need to come here and click publish. And by publishing this, I have now saved the version that we're going to be cloning. You can always look at your previously published versions here. So anytime you need to revert back and restore an old version, you can, as long as you published it. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to come into Administration, Clone Store Settings, and know that you can do two things. One, I could clone this store. That's just a one-off, hey, we cloned it. Or two, we can set this store to be a template. So we'll just call this website 1. Deco's going to put the word template at the end. So we'll click Save. Then when I come over to Websites, I'm going to come into Store Options. I would enable store sign-up templates. You actually have to. And I would force stores to select a template. This will help prevent you from launching a site that's not your template. You want to force yourself to do that. Now, when you're ready to launch a new site, come to Websites, Add Store, Belongs to me or someone else. And then you'll see here, it's forcing us to choose one of our templates. I already had a template in here. That's why you see 2. All right. Again, affiliate site templates will make things a lot easier when you need to launch new sites. You're making it as turnkey as possible and only having to swap variables such as the logo, the call to action banner and text, the closed store date, and then the products themselves. You can become much more efficient by working from a template versus doing the same repetitive stuff over and over again every time you need to launch that new site. If you have any questions on launching a new affiliate site or building a template, don't hesitate by clicking on the question mark here and raising a support ticket with client services. And hopefully you find this video helpful, and thanks for watching.